On today's episode, we're going to discuss our CFB refresh covering fall camp from Moon's perspective. We're also going to talk about Boston College and some changes to their 2025 identity that they have, and it's starting to take shape out there in Chestnut Hill. We're going to talk about CFB Nation's 2025 preseason top 25 poll as the curtain rises for the 2025 season. There's so much anticipation, and CFB Nation released their poll. We're gonna make sure we get into it from the brand's perspective and also from Moon's perspective. We're gonna cover the Perich story. We're gonna talk about a three-way guy out of the University of Minnesota, and also the unexpected void. We're going to discuss BYU's 2025 quarterback carousel that we have. If you're looking for your latest plug and everything that you need to know in the world of college football, look no further, my friend. This is the world of CFB. Welcome into the show. I'm your boy Moon, credential media member of CFB Nation, the largest and the fastest growing college football independent company in the world. I, your boy Moon, have been traveling quite a bit over the course of this offseason, but I'm excited to be at home base with you, the people, talking about college football as we are T minus 7 days away from the college football season kicking off next Saturday. Oh, it's gonna be a movie this season. I can't wait for it. On today's show, we already talked about the nuggets of what you can expect in this jam-packed episode, but we want to give special shout out to you for watching. We want to give God the glory for this platform. We want to give CFB Nation some love. We want to shout out to our sponsors, Bet US and Bull Rush. And we also want to shout out college football. This is the world of CFB. Coming up first in the show, let's get to it, bro. Some boosters are writing checks. Then there's a guy that's on your screen. This guy right here is doing more. He just gave you the entire donor playbook. Money showers in Lawrence, quarterback battles from coast to coast, and a rule book that's been laid out with 100% certainty and confidence, ready for Kansas Jayhawks fans to run through a brick wall right now. This is CFB Refresh. I'm your boy Moon, and there's been a lot that's been going on over the last couple of days in the college football world, and I want to get you up to date with it. Let's start out and take our tour around the world to Lawrence, Kansas. Rock Chalk Jayhawk $300 million block. The Kansas alum dropped 300 million, yes, million, into Jayhawks athletics, the largest gift that we had in school history and one of the biggest in all of college sports. 75 million goes to upgrading David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium, which is looking beautiful from the renders and the things in progress that I've been seeing. And the surrounding Gateway District is going to feature hotels, it's going to feature housing, restaurants. It's going to be basically a football adjacent theme park that you can have out there in David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium. But the rest of it, the revenue, the annual revenue stream that 80 Travis golf calls transformational, it's truly a game changer. Kansas, on the other hand, is coming off of a 5-7 season, and now they're armed with money. They got a donor that's going to war for them, but their expectations are kind of middle of the road for this year. But those luxury box prices, those suite level seats, oh man, it's gonna be a blast to be out there and see this renovation that we got in Kansas. Kansas, hit us back. We trying to be on tour with you in week 0. Coming up next in the show, John, not a gambler Mateer. Social media people and pundits all around have been trying to catch my boy John Mateer caught in a trap because there was a sports betting slip after an old Venmo screenshot surfaced with sports gambling in the memo line that we had. And John Mateer said, nope, inside jokes, not inside info. You guys dropped the ball on this one. And he insists that he never bet on sports. Now, the University of Oklahoma is backing him up, and the NCAA isn't sniffing around right now, so this is good for us. But for context, John Mateer at Washington State last year, 3,139 passing yards. He also put up 826 rushing yards with 44 total touchdowns. And the beautiful thing about it was that offensive coordinator Ben Arbuckle decided to follow John Mateer, and we're going to be in Norman this year, reviving a Sooners offense that ranked 97th in the nation in scoring. I don't know why they're trying to come at you with your Venmo and betting on sports and everything, John. But we're excited for big things on the horizon for Oklahoma and the Sooners this year. Coming up next, it's mid-August, which means that half of the country is still trying to evaluate who their quarterback situations are. And in layman's terms, they're still deciding who's going to be able to handle all of the first road game, first home game buzz without getting rattled. Some of the quarterback controversies and challenges that we have emerging right now, one of them actually got decided over the last couple of days. There was a decision made with Ty Simpson for Alabama, and he is your guy. They're saying a lot of praise about him. He was CFB Nation's fall camp guy that took over and took the next step. Spring, he dominated as well. We've been hearing a lot of great things coming from Ty Simpson, and even the defense that is loaded at Alabama has been giving him praise too. This is a great thing for Alabama as they are pairing Ryan Grubb with Kalen DeBoer, and now they have their guy. They don't have to be in a position like other programs across the nation that's still trying to figure it out. Michigan, on the other hand, has a quarterback situation brewing between Mikey Keene, who's a steady veteran from Fresno State, and then Bryce Underwood, who is the future, the freshman phenom that's coming in with beyond just NIL exposure and value, but a new hope for Michigan's quarterback future. Um, Trying to get back to the days where we had consistency in JJ McCarthy, for example. So when you talk about this quarterback battle, I personally want Bryce Underwood to start week one, especially given the magnitude of the situation. You would think lean to the veteran guy, but no, we need to let this kid get live bullet reps, number one first team reps, and throw him into the fire because, like, at this point, reps in the fire are more vital than you taking notes and mental reps on the sidelines, especially when you're this highly touted as a freshman. When you go across the nation and see Colorado, they got Juju Julian Lewis, the future, going up against Caden Salter, who is a Fiesta Bowl vet who did some marvelous things at the university, well, Liberty University. I've been hearing everything coming out of campus. Everything is neck and neck right now between Caden Salter and Juju Lewis. And Juju's been doing his job, pushing Caden to the limit. So when I'm looking at this, how it's going to shake out, it's going to be a two quarterback system. We're just going to have to understand that. Coach Prime said it at media days for the Big 12. He said that we're going to use both of them. Why not? Why wouldn't we? So I'm coming into it that this is not going to be a situation where something is decided and this is what it is for the rest of the year. No, we're going to see constant changes between Caden Salter and Julian Lewis because they're going to play both guys. Then we move to Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana, where CJ Carr is going up against Kenny Minchey, dual threat guy. And to be honest, I would love to see Kenny Minchey win this job. I really would. However, no matter how you slice it and dice it, this team is in the perfect position this year to get through the tough game that you have and essentially coast your way to the college football playoff. Your defense is going to be superb for Notre Dame in 2025. Yes, sir. You better bet your bottom dollar they are. So the quarterback is going to matter, but it is an uncomfortable position following the days of Sam Hartman, following the days of Riley Leonard coming to transfer. We didn't have to deal with these problems last year, Notre Dame fans. Now we do. And it's a sticky situation. Still got to wait some time for this one to battle out. The one that we just talked about on the Governor of College Football on the show was no other than Lincoln Holtz versus Julian Sayin. Both are inheriting Jeremiah Smith, the cheat code. Now, when I look at both parties in this quarterback competition, I've been hearing that this is a close battle, neck and neck, and they're not revealing their cards all the way up until the season starts. We've been seeing that 100%. Now, there's been people that saying that this reminds them of 2023. I know the governor said that. I've known other pundits has been able to say that. It's read through the tea leaves, but I think they're keeping everything close to chest. But I have more faith in the quarterback situation than I do in the new defensive coordinator coming in, Matt Patricia, for Ohio State. Like, I feel like they have bigger fish to fry, more pressing problems, like trying to replace the production that we lost to the NFL draft, from trying to figure out how to merge two new coordinators into the system. Like, Ohio State's going to be very, very talented, but they are in the same boat as a Michigan, same boat as a Notre Dame, and the same boat as a team um, like Alabama before they made the decision with Ty Simpson that you are a blue bloodish program for sure, where you have all the other pieces on your resume checked off. But for the quarterback position, we have unknowns. So what are we supposed to do with that? What are we really supposed to do? We gotta wait. That's the only thing we can do. And I don't think Ryan Day knows who the starter is yet. And if he is, he's doing a great job of doing smoke screens. Let's move on next. Tennessee, Joey Aguilar is leading the charge, quote unquote, but George McIntyre, Jake Merlinker, they're lurking in the shadows right now. And I honestly don't believe any quarterback news that I got coming out of Tennessee. The same Tennessee that's responsible for Blurgate, the same Tennessee that is responsible for blurring out an image and a video of a tight end throwing a football, obviously trying to see if what he can do. I don't think they know who their guy is, and this one's going to be playing out throughout the entire year. Make no mistake. A quarterback position that I'm going to talk about later on in the show is the wide open race that we have in Provo, Utah, with Jake Retzlaff leaving and transferring out to Tulane. We'll get into that more later in the show. But as we move back, UCLA, let's take a trip to Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, Nico is glowing. I mean, every single video, interview, press conference, practice clip, insight I've been hearing about it is that he's been ascending and the trajectory has been going up ever since he ended up going out to UCLA in Los Angeles. It was a absolutely messy breakup that we had, and Tennessee kind of probably still is going to have a taste in his mouth forever. But from his vantage point, the Bruin staffers have been all in on his maturity, his leadership, his arm talent. They've been all in. And UCLA's wide receiver, Quasi Gilmer, could be his breakout partner in crime in 2025, year of our Lord. And then when you push it, and then you talk about UGA's wide receiver room is starting to be whispered about in AJ Green terms and territory. They got USC transfer Zachariah Branch just coming in, and he's already slicing up the defenses, returning kicks like a joystick player that we know that he is. And then they also got Texas A&M's Noah Thomas, who is a 6'5" jump ball vacuum, who's been unguardable for the Bulldogs in camp. When I'm looking at the numbers of this, I mean, it all comes down full circle. 100%. It's full circle for Georgia. This is the year where we got to get everything going and moving in the right direction, because your team is absolutely loaded and talented. Moving on next, LSU. LSU is coming in with a defense that's reloaded. Garrett Nussmeier's offense is going to get a lot of the headlines for this LSU team. We know that they are talented. They have stars really at every single level. But LSU insiders have been saying that the Tigers defense is going to be the real surprise heading into 2025. I mean, think about it. Harold Perkins is coming back from a knee injury. Their linebacker room with Weeks, Perkins, Weeks, like they're loaded. You talk about the cornerback room. They got young guys, freshmen that's coming in, like DJ Pickett, for example. They have older veteran guys in their sophomore, junior seasons that are ready to take their next step. They have Mansour Delane, cornerback, that's locking things down after transferring from Virginia Tech. They got defensive line is making an impact and adjustment with Patrick Payton coming in. They also got Bernard Gooding and safety AJ Halsey, who also, by the way, had 5 interceptions while he was at Houston. He's no slouch. They're going to come in and make immediate impact for this defense. And the defensive line, I think, is going to take leaps. And they also have Blake Baker as their defensive coordinator. So there's a lot to love about LSU, and it's not even on the offensive side of the ball. They might have to take some people some convincing, but just look at the roster construction, the talent that they have. I mean, my gosh, LSU's defense is going to be pushing, in my opinion, top 25 based on what the numbers and the metrics are saying, based on what the roster construction is saying to me. Let's talk about camp check-ins and move around the nation, rapid fire, and get into some of the headlines around the country. At Illinois State, quarterback Tommy Rittenhouse and wide receiver Eddie Casper are connecting. Their chemistry is growing. And running back Seth Glatz, my apologies, he ended up having a 78-yard touchdown in a 4-minute drill that's been getting a lot of headlines and love. The defense has been making noise because they've been batting down passes like volleyballs and being competitive out there in one-on-one drills and team drills for this past week for Illinois State. Redbirds are humming right now at the perfect time as we get boosted. Got to put some FCS flavor and spice in there. At TCU, defensive end Zach Chapman is saying what we all know, that iron sharpens iron, and the return of Paul Oyewale makes their defensive line take a massive leap up. Defensive tackle Marcus Deal ended up missing some time, but he's been saying that this group can be one of the best defenses in college football. Whether we believe that or not, that's up for the future to hold. But what they believe in the room is that they've taken massive jump up for their defense, and specifically on their defensive line heading into 2025. Let's take a trip out to Pullman. New kicker on your screen, Jack Stevens, has quietly leveled up. When you telling me about a kicker, yes, because that man has been booming kickoffs. He's been auditioning as a punter for you. He even had the long snapper battle. He has his spicy because that's going to feature 3 different guys trying to battle for long snapper just to get paired up with this kid. When I'm looking at him, new kicker Jack Stevens, he's been a talk of camp right now for Wazoo this past week. Up next, Iowa. Caleb Johnson is gone to the Steelers, so the running back room is going to be a committee for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Tim Lester is saying that they got a buffet of skill sets out there in Iowa, and they have it all from route running type of running backs that you can want to bruisers. They're going to carry a lot of weight heading into the season, but after scrimmages, there's going to be a divvy of the running back responsibilities that we have for Iowa in 2025, which is great to see because we want to see them lean into their identity, defense, and running a rock. But the blessing is the fact that they have a new quarterback, definitely on the horizon. Let's take a trip to North Dakota, not that far away. Listen, there's live tackling that started at North Dakota. They got local refs out there, highlight guys from wide receiver Jamal Young and Dang Dang. They got freshman cornerback Grant Nolan, who's flashing in practice with picks. He's being aggressive. He's getting run stops. North Dakota is trying to continue to do what they do, continue to be a juggernaut year after year. And they got their eye on the playoffs. But it all starts now in August, and we've been hearing great things from North Dakota as they start with putting full pads on and live tackling. Let's move on. Michigan. There's a lot of people talking about Michigan in the bombshell that just dropped right now with the money that we're going to lose, the penalties and everything like that. But what you need to know out of Michigan is that Cole Sullivan, pictured on your screen, is emerging at linebacker for them. Jaden Mangham is going to be leveling up, playing safety position and moving around quite a bit. The offensive line is going to have enough bite to make Sharon Moore, who has history as a guard himself, he's going to make them happy. Bryce Underwood has been looking apart, but he's not revealing his hands until we get to week 1. You have to know that Michigan is keeping everything close to chest about what the starter is. But the big news that I'm hearing is that this kid on your screen, Cole Sullivan, he's been emerging as a linebacker for the Wolverines. New rules, new drama. There was recently announced that we're going to get some rule changes for the 2025, and it's already swinging. It's already going to make some teams uncomfortable. BYU and Utah, you got to put your availability in the injury report now. But yeah, no more fake injuries. You get caught and you lose a timeout or you take a delay of game. There's no wiggle room around that. You got weapon gimmick celebrations. Those are now an unsportsmanlike conduct flag. If you do any type of weapon celebration, the kick return T signal, you wave it and the play is dead. It's over with. This T where they hold it up, extra timeouts, just one per overtime, starting in the third period. Massive change that we have. And lastly, defenseless players, ball recovery attempts now get this protection. These are some of the rules that we had change. And if you were planning to limp to the sideline or holding your hamstring to stop the clock, or you pull a finger gun celebration, you go crazy, yeah, there's going to be some adjustments that you're going to have to deal with in 2025. I mean, think about it, bro. Money's flowing in Lawrence. Quarterbacks are dueling everywhere from Notre Dame to Michigan to shout out to Todd Simpson getting the starting job at University of Alabama. But the NCAA just dropped a hammer on Michigan and probably just outlawed your favorite taunt mood celebration. August camp is in full swing. And this is the time of year where hope is loud, depth charts are fluid and changing, and everyone thinks that they have a shot to shock the world. And in about a week, 2 weeks before week one, we're about to find out who actually can. This is the world of CFB. What's wavy? Welcome to the show. It's your boy Moon, credential media member of DCFB Nation. And we get a chance to do this show where we focus on all parts of the college football world. On that latest little CFB refresh that I wanted to give you on fall camp, we talked about North Dakota and the FCS. We talked about a little bit of Alabama, a little bit of SEC, some Big Ten sprinkled in there with Michigan and Iowa. Out there in the Pac-12 with Wazoo, TCU, and the Big 12. We got you covered in Illinois State. How could I forget about you? There's changes going on all across the college football world for sure. But your boy Moon is going to keep you locked and loaded. Coming up next, man, we can't forget. There's a team that I've been wanting to talk about because their situation is very unique to the world, and I think a lot of people don't really know how to properly rank them. But I'm here to tell you that more insight on their situation that's murky so we can provide some clarity on that. I'm talking about none other than the BYU Cougars. This is the world of CFB, and I'm about to tell you a little bit more about the unexpected void. BYU's 2025 quarterback carousel is just spinning and spinning and spinning around, and we have to wait until we're really about 2 weeks until the quarterback is actually named. If they do it sooner, God bless them, literally. But there was a summer surprise that came in and shook up BYU's continuity, just and split it down the seams, right down the middle, leaving the Cougars in a really weird situation. Fresh off of an 11-2 campaign, the BYU Cougars, they just last time we saw them, they were getting the Alamo Bowl win over Colorado. And now we find them in an identity crisis just weeks before fall camp. And we're in the end of fall camp, and we see Jake Retzlaff, who ended up taking his talents to the University of Tulane, put up nearly 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, one of the steadiest passes in the Big 12 last fall, regardless of the highs and lows. And instead, now he's taking his talents to New Orleans. And this departure ended up being wrapped in controversy, discipline, a little bit of sex, a little bit of money, a little bit of a since dismissed lawsuit that got popped up, but Retzlaff is gone. And so is a lot of people's belief in BYU and the vision of what BYU can be for 2025, because I'm here to tell you that it's going to be rooted in experience and a little bit of swagger at quarterback. But if you let the nation tell you, they don't know where to even put BYU in the top 25 anymore, even though post spring they were right in the mix for everything. Now it's like an open competition and an audition, and the Cougars aren't just searching for a starter. They're scrambling, trying to put all the pieces together to redefine the soul of this offense that we have. Now, this is a house that we have with 3 doors. There's multiple doors that you can choose. What is Kalani Sitake going to do? So, as fall camp is now in full swing, there are 3 different type of guys that you're looking at walking into this quarterback vacancy that really shouldn't even exist right now. Like, we should not be talking about a quarterback vacancy at BYU. However, the standard for BYU is the standard. But in talking about him, we got Bear Barkhammer, the Bachmeyer, the raw, new burden weight of a family tree, I should say. That, in my opinion, could be the best line out of the Bachhammer family tree. And his name rings bells through Group of Five football lore. So everybody knows Bear, you know. Then you got Chasing Burgett, big arm, system stable, finally finding his footing after a few years of instability. But now he started to get into the flow of him in his quarterbacking. Then you got McKay Hillstead, picture on your screen. Undersized, gritty, battle tested in the Mountain West for sure. But he's ultimately confident in BYU system and why he chose Provo. Each quarterback has their own pathway, and each one is going to bring a different type of hope and hesitation that comes from Kalani Sitake and offensive coordinator Aaron Roderick, because all of them are rotating first team reps and playing the long game. Now, they don't want this decision to get drawn out until August 30th in the opener against Portland State. But they also want force in hand that wasn't revealed to them. They're not going to go seeking it out. They're just going to let it fall in their lap and see what happens. But I don't think that this competition is about politics, promise, or any of, coach speak. I think it's about who can rally a locker room, who can anchor an offense when they absolutely need it the most, because this team is dealing with unexpected uncertainty before we even get into the season kicked off. Like, that is crazy to think about. BYU fans may have not seen much of McKay Hillstead last year, but his days at Utah State tell a story of absolute production under pressure. He was a freshman starter in Logan, Utah, and at one point, one of the most dangerous arms in the Mountain West. This 399-yard explosion that he had against James Madison still reverberates in my mind, and that still stands as a freshman record for Utah State. But the things that follow him was his durability concerns and doubts about his size because he's 5'10". People looked at him and his long-term ceiling and tried to value or devalue it. But instead of all the things that I told you, McKay Hillstead is still walked into this battle, and he has something that I feel like the other quarterbacks don't. He has FBS starts, that's a fact, and he has system knowledge, that's also a fact. He's been in the building, he's been in the playbook, and I feel like honestly, he's not scared in the moment, and I wouldn't have him be scared in the moment at all either. Then you got the other kid, Chasing Borget or Borgate. I looked and deemed him as the survivor. 6 years that he's been in this whole college football atmosphere. 6 different systems, 6 different versions of Chasing Borget. That's why I named him Survivor. The story of Chasing, 6'2" junior who has finally, and I mean finally, found consistency. He bounced around from system to system through high school, Western Michigan. He had a full year to breathe in Provo. Thank the Lord above. And that comfort is starting to actually see signs of life. They say before you can see the fruit, you see the leaves. He's been showing leaves last year, and now you're starting to see some fruit growing. He probably has the smoothest presence on the field during installs of all the quarterbacks because he's just been there longer and he knows. You can tell that his reads are crispy. He looks like a veteran out there because he is a veteran out there in many ways for 100%. But he might have a quieter profile that's not going to be the rah-rah type of guy. But make no mistake, Borgette has been through the fire and he just hasn't had his real shot yet. And I think Kalani Sitake giving him some love during fall camp is perfect for this underdog story. For sure. Then the next guy. Don't let that pretty smile fool you. This kid is an absolute dog, and he will take your lunch money if you give him the ability to. He didn't throw a pass at Stanford because he didn't need to. True freshman, transferred in to BYU post spring with the look of a guy that's ready to mold into something beautiful. The DNA of a starter for sure. His older brother Hank was a 4 program nomad tallying over 11,000 career passing yards across Boise State, Louisiana Tech, and also Wake Forest. When I'm sitting here looking at this, Bear, he comes into the situation trying to be the best Bachmeyer and write his own script because he's studying the pages that Hank already wrote and his other brothers already did too. 6'2". Bear already looks the part in camp. He's been showing flashes enough to polish and hang with the older guys like Bourget. And he's learning fast, asking all the right questions that you would want to see, absorbing all this information and knowledge. And whether it's already seen if he's going to be the guy, I feel like he should. Can he seize control by week 1? The long-term intrigue for this project is absolutely real. And if BYU wants to build around youth and upside in the long term, well, they can't focus too much about the long term given what they have in the cubby right now. You know, if you know, you know. So a kid, let's just say this: a kid that's about to go on a mission trip, if he's still about to go on a mission trip, we got, no matter what this quarterback situation looks like in 2025, 2026, 2027, all that is starting to look clearer and clearer. But Hank wants to come in and say, I'm not, if you're going to look at me as a gamble, at least know that I can pay off big for you. But let's just be honest. I feel like the public is sleeping on this battle because the public is sleeping on BYU 100%. The public is sleeping on them. And Coach Kalani Sitake is in a great situation where he can get his team to rally and bond together even more. This is the same BYU team that before their, I think, game with Arizona State, they were looking like they were about to sweep the table 100%. And then the wheels fall off at the end. 9+ weeks of being undefeated. This locker room has not forgotten that. This is a truly seismic moment. And the quarterback choice, I feel like, can derail the momentum from last year's breakout season, or it could keep them right in the Big 12 title conversation because that is a possibility in 2025. They are packed with experienced linemen. They have a defense that has grit and teeth and some playmakers and a belief in their culture that they can survive the storm of Jake Retzloff leaving. Because we got 3 guys that we can choose from. Now, no. They say if you don't have 1 guy, then if you have 2 guys, you have no guy. If you have 3 guys, you definitely don't got a guy. But guess what? Football is a quarterback's game. We know that. BYU has 3 starting options. My personal favorite would be Bear Bachmeyer. For sure. I would want him to win the job. There's other people that are saying Bourget is doing better. There's other people that are saying McKay Hillstead is going to end up being a guy. I get it. I understand. Everybody has different flavors, different things that rock their boat. But if you look at the DNA and the fabric of this team, this is Kalani Sitake's 9th year in Provo. He's not new to this. He's true to this. He's been through chaos before. He had to deal with chaos last year. He had to deal with chaos the year before that. I mean, for a mighty long time, this man has weathered the storm. But this situation feels a little bit different. I think the margin is thinner. The country is trying to wait to see what BYU is going to be in 2025. I'm under the belief that no matter what quarterback they put out there, I hope it's McKay Hillstead or Bear Bachmeyer, they will still be elite. They will be elite. I had BYU in my top. I think they were in my top 20 for sure. I think they were on the 16 to 18 side. Got to go back and look at the exact placement. But the quarterback is now in New Orleans. We don't need to talk about them no more. The quarterbacks, they got a win this job now mentality, but also they have to win the locker room. They got to win over the hearts of a fan base, and they ultimately have to produce wins on the football field this season. Oh, no pressure. No pressure out there in Provo, Utah. You know, I feel like they built for it, though. This is the world of CFB.
Look at you out here using all these other sports books and you ain't even using the best one. BetUS. Get 125% match bonus when you use the promo code CFB Nation. Yeah, you heard me correctly. 125% match bonus on your first deposit using that code CFB Nation. We know that college football is in the off season, even though we don't celebrate that. You know, CFB Nation, we do college football 24/7. But there are plenty of things for you guys to bet on.
Who will have the most wins? OKC Thunder or Cleveland Cavaliers? Can Luka and LeBron make it all mesh to make it to the play-in tournament? Maybe you're a college basketball guy ready to risk it all for Florida to make it to the big dance.
Basketball isn't for you? Maybe you're a football guy. Well, BetUS got you covered with this year's UEFA Championship. Can Liverpool or Barcelona win it all? Will Erling Haaland or Harry Kane lead their teams to victory?
May is going to get popping when the Kentucky Derby hits town. BetUS has you covered in that way too, with all major horse racing events. Point is, type in that promo code CFB Nation and go get that money. Go get that money, twin. We appreciate BetUS. Let's continue with the show. This is World of CFB, World of College Football, hosted by Moon, credential media member of CFB Nation, tourer of the college football world, and a person that injects this game in my veins every single day. So you can absolutely just take a minute with me. Just appreciate where we are. We are T minus a week away from the season kicking off, week 0. High school football already kicked off, which is super exciting to see. I checked out Milton the other night. This is popping. I love when football season is here. If you are a 1%er that's been here throughout the off season, we greatly appreciate you. If you're listening to this via podcast, we greatly appreciate you too. Continue to give us good ratings. Let us know how you feel about our coverage and what we're doing for the sport. And if your favorite team is going to be covered, you can be honest with me. Let me know. Mo, you capping? You capping, bro? You capping? I don't see what you see. Or hey, Mo, you right on the money. Be real with me. We try to let all sides of this party be heard. So this on the world of college football, we try to focus everybody. If you lace them up, play football, put on that helmet, buckle your chin strap, put on them cleats, we're going to talk about you. We got to make a adjustment and go out there to Chestnut Hill. Chestnut Hill. 1 second, my lord. Give me a second, my lord. 1 second, my lord. There we go. On a humid August morning in Chestnut Hill, things are getting active. The air is clinging heavy to us right now. The sound of cleats are starting to snap on the pavement. The turf, you smell it. The grass, I should say. The bark of coaches in the distance. I mean, fall camp is in the air, but it's also the time where stories seem to shift from paper down to reality. And for Boston College in 2025, year of our Lord, it's starting with two young men that are growing into grown men for real, that are coming to emerge in this program that's going to have a great deal of what Boston College can be in 2025. I'm talking about the calm ascension of Dylan Lonergan and QB1 now, and also Amari Jackson, a player that just refuses to blink. We're going to talk about both of them. Let's start off with Dylan. I ain't going to hold you. One of the shocking things that I saw over the past week was just having I think I was watching YouTube, and I saw a comment, or hey, Dylan Lonergan just won the starting job for BC. I said, "Nuh-uh. There ain't no way. There's no way." And I was like, "Oh man, my dude Nino been calling it. He's been calling it. And I said, Nino was right again. Then I said, no, we gotta fact check. We gotta see if this real deal. I said, if ESPN's talking about it, then cool. This is real. I went. Dylan Lonergan has won the starting job for Boston College. Quarterback turnover has been constant in BC football's recent history. And Dylan is in a situation where he makes 5 starters in 4 years. It's been a revolving door that has yet tested continuity, culture, and confidence. And you could say all of those things have been tested, but we're seeing it talking about it as a starting quarterback, QB1, a Georgia-born transfer who is not carrying himself like a placeholder whatsoever. He has a great supporting cast around him. He has great coaches. I already know that they putting in work day by day. They are prepping for him right now, but the roots of his arrival stretch all the way back to high school when Bill O'Brien was still an NFL caliber recruiter, stalking sideline prospects, and booyah, that's where this kid ended up having. Lonergan remembers Bill O'Brien and the impact that he had on him, visiting Alabama's campus, dropping by his high school, even spending time with his parents. Those memories are things that you hold on to, that bond. And now Bill O'Brien is in his second year as BC's head guy, and that bond is so unbreakable that a transfer portal technical roll of the dice doesn't feel like a roll of the dice anymore. It feels like a calculated homecoming for us, an opportunity that's too good to pass up because you get to compete. This team right now is on an uphill track for the next couple of years. And when we look at the system fit and the overall quiet edge that Dylan Lonergan has, I think it comes down to scheme. If you let him tell it, he would describe BC's scheme as a quarterback crucible because there's heavy reads, layered responsibilities, and the expectation to command the huddle. It's more than just playing a quarterback position, it's all things that encompass it. And the fit for himself, he needs to be able to protect possessions, be a distributor of opportunities to these weapons that he has around him. He has to be able to take care of the football, get it out to his teammates and let them cook, let them make plays. But it helps Tim to have players like Reed Harris, for example, or Jaden Skeet and Lewis Bond, a receiver trio that offers what you want. Perfect blend, length, speed, versatility. Plus, the tight end room is dangerous too. Very much so. For a quarterback that has something to prove after limited snaps at the University of Alabama, I'm looking at this Arsenal now as someone that could come in and not only accelerate our expectations, accelerate our growth, but also accelerate the reputation around BC in 2025. And then you talk about the next guy on defense. Amari Jackson's story is probably one of my favorite in all of college football. Injury last season was absolutely brutal because it forced him to watch from the sideline with a headset on and his hands empty, heart aching because he couldn't be out there with his guys. It could have been a lost year for Amari Jackson if he didn't really lock in and not put his ego in check and say, you know what, I'm going to turn this from a opportunity where I'm hurt to making this an apprenticeship in vocal leadership for this team so that Boston College fans, their donors, everybody that's involved in the staff, the players all know the importance of Amari Jackson. You can't lead by example when you're hurt. So he had to learn how to adapt and lead vocally. He doesn't ever want to take this for granted, not ever again. And then the beautiful thing about this story is that he's now healthy and he's returning to probably the deepest position group on Boston College's roster, which is their DB room. The secondary is ultimately like family for Amari Jackson, and every practice rep, every matchup that they have, they're growing closer together in their family. And there's no single receiver that he's looking at and saying, "Oh, well, they're giving me the work. They're giving me the work." All of them are. And that shows you that the talent level at BC is raising. Shared goals, shared roots, all of it is connected. When you connect the dots between both of the players that I just talked about for BC, both Dylan Lonergan and Amari Jackson are Georgia products. Small details help them connect on the field and develop a friendship. They both know each other outside of football. This is what we talk about. This is BC family atmosphere. That's why Dylan came back and trusted Bill O'Brien. That's why Amari Jackson came back and said, you know what? I'm not going to sulk because I got hurt. I'm going to take that next step because these people are still looking at me to be an answer here. They believe that their eyes are on the ACC championship. 7 wins last season is a number that we're trying to leave in past tense. And Boston College ultimately starts the season with Fordham. So Billy O has a chance to figure out, more about Dylan in his first matchup in this game, develop some trust. And then for a defensive back that's been through his fair share of fire, adversity, I should say, he's stepping back into the spotlight and reclaiming it while others are sitting there just waiting. And he had to do it in unconventional situations where he had to put his ego to the side and make those next steps vocally. I look forward to see BC's ascension this year because in the sport where momentum is everything, that combination that you talk about, reclaiming the spotlight, one stepping into the spotlight, it's a steady signal, a steady shield that the identity that Boston College and the Eagles wanted to have in 2025 year of our Lord is very much so attainable. Very much so. Still have some pieces for this team. It's just when you need vocal leadership, you need certainty in your QB room, and you're starting to have that. That's why I say I'm your boy Moon, and I just told you why Boston College's 2025 identity is really starting to click, mesh, and take shape. This is the world of CFB. Your boy Moon, credential media member of CFB Nation, traveler of the college football world. Last year on tour, we touched so many different places. One of my favorite places that I went to last year was Georgia State. I have some exciting news to share with the community very, very soon, but I'm going to wait to do it until I get their approval first. But it is with the team that I really like, and I just kind of gave you a little nugget on who it's with. But let's just say that there's big things that's happening on the horizon. There's also a big thing that happened and dropped for the CFB Nation. We just released our first CFB Nation top 25 preseason poll to the public via Twitter, via Instagram. You can find it. It's out there. It's on YouTube too. You can find it. So let us know what your thoughts are. This is a what's the word I'm looking for? A joint ranking. We had multiple people that came in and were gracious enough to give us our time, give us their thoughts, and ultimately give us the numbers and the rankings to help us piece together a poll that was reflective of not just one entity alone, but a culmination of everybody putting their thoughts together. And I think what we put out is going to end up, at least for the next couple of weeks before this starts to get shaken up, it's a very good product. 100%. Now, I obviously made my own top 25 rankings. You have to know that I did. And some of these changes on these rankings that I will make, I'll talk about a little bit later. However, I'm going to talk about that as a whole, what I would move, what I would change, the process and how we went in ranking it, the things that took me the longest. But we're going to talk about all of that and more on this special episode of World of College Football. If you tuning in via the video format, watching on Twitter, hey, I see you. We greatly appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Hey, if you could kindly hit that retweet button, kindly hit that like button. Why are you not liking it up, man? Share it with somebody. One like could change the whole person's day. One like can make a person go from a regular person to a college football fan. One retweet can get this post just out there and just let somebody know of something that's actually brewing behind the scenes. World of College Football. Special shout out to CFB Nation. They sponsored this one and everyone that we have a World of CFB. Let's get to it. Because, we not about to waste no time, my friend. This is the World of CFB. This is my top 25 officially for the CFB Nation brand. I mean, it's loaded. You can see it on your screen. Take a look. Go ahead. If you have comments, let me know, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on YouTube, let me know, please. I would love to comment with you, but I'm going to go 1 through 25 or 25 through 1, and I'll give you the top 25 if you're listening via podcast, via Spotify, or any other lovely platform. Number 25 is the Texas A&M Aggies. Number 24, Boise State Broncos. 23 belongs to Louisville Cardinals. 22, Baylor Bears. 21, Iowa State Cyclones. 20, Michigan Wolverines. 19, Indiana Hoosiers. 18, SMU Mustangs. 17, Oklahoma Sooners. 16, Texas Tech Red Raiders. Now we get into the top 25 people. 15, Kansas State Wildcats. 14, Illinois Fighting Illini. 13, Florida Gators. 12, Arizona State. 11, South Carolina. Pushing into the top 10 people, we got Miami coming in at number 10. LSU Tigers come in at number 9. 8 is the Oregon Ducks. 7, Notre Dame Fighting Irish. 6, Alabama Crimson Tide, Roll Tide. 5, pushing top 5 now. Georgia Bulldogs coming in at number 5. 4, Texas Longhorns. 3, the Ohio State Buckeyes. 2, Penn State Nittany Lions. 1, Clemson Tigers. That is the top 25 if you were listening via podcast and audio variations of this show. I gotta get into the others receiving votes too. Auburn got 29 votes, Tennessee 27, Ole Miss 22, Navy 22. Washington had 14 votes, TCU 12, Southern California, USC with 11. Trust me, I was all 11 of those votes for USC. I promise. I was Vanderbilt 10 votes, Missouri 6, Duke 6, Florida State with 3 votes, Syracuse with 3, Nebraska with 3, Utah. I promise, I probably was the only one that picked Utah too. And BYU, I promise, I was probably the only one that picked BYU too. So the lights are up and everything is starting to come together. And this is the CFB Nation poll. So let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I would love to know your thoughts. College football's next act is right on the horizon, people. And then the thick, smoky glow of the August heat, CFB Nation's official preseason top 25 is here as a declaration. Not just numbers, not just rankings, but here to give you a lineup of Titans, Chaos Agents, and ultimately in a season where we have a lot of unknowns. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the overall poll. I'm going to talk about some of the people that voted in it, and I'm going to tell you about my process and what I went through. So let's talk about the overall poll. I love this poll. I love it. Now there's obviously some changes and some shakers that I would, change and make differently for sure. But as far as the consensus of what we have, solid. Now I know Ohio State fans, you're gonna be like, Penn State hasn't beat us since when? 2017, 2019. How are they ahead of us? I get it. But hey, bro, you're still in the top 3, even though we don't know who your defensive coordinator is, and he's just a new college football guy. And even though Brian Hartline's been working with the wide receivers, he's still a new offensive coordinator. We're first off a national championship. I get it. But Penn State's roster looks better than yours. It does, and that's all we can go off in the preseason right now. We got the 2 best players in college football. I know. Shake my hand. I'm happy that you have them. I know. This is not being of feelings. We still put you in the top 3. But we differ from what the AP poll was. We differ from the coaches poll because Texas was number 1 in both of those polls. In ours, Texas is number 4. I would push back on that. Not to move them higher, but honestly, to move them lower. I mean, be honest. I'm gonna talk about that in a second. Overall, I love the poll too because others receiving vote. We gave respect to Navy. We gave respect to the SEC teams and Auburn, Tennessee, and Ole Miss, teams that we felt strongly about, but did not necessarily know if they were top 25 material. I mean, Texas A&M was 2025, and they were hanging on a cliff. We gave Boise State the nod as the overwhelmingly G5 favorite. I mean, if you're a G5 ball knower, then you would know that. I mean, I feel like it should be unanimous at this point that Boise State is best G5 team. I understand that there's others that feel like they have a rank in it. There's the Navies of the world, the Tulanes of the world. I get you. I hear you. 100%. But we gave Boise State the nod as the best G5 team. Washington getting love with Damon Williams as their starting quarterback. He lit up Louisville in the Sun Bowl. Like, he lit them boys up. I'm looking at Jamal Williams as someone Washington left outside the poll. Then I'm like, dang it, man. Like, if we miss on them, I'm going to be mad. They're going to be somebody we're paying close attention to. Navy, obviously, we talked about Navy. Ole Miss, Tennessee. If you had to ask me who my personal preference in that, Ole Miss, 100%. I don't really trust the situation with my quarterback with Tennessee right now, nor do I feel like they trust it. So if you don't trust it and I don't trust it, am I wrong for not trusting it? No. I should be on the same page. Ole Miss, yes, they might not be as talented as they were last year. I get it. I understand. 100%. 100%. However, did you see the additions that they've been making in the transfer portal? That alone in itself, with their wide receiver core, their offense, I believe in Austin Simmons. I believe in him. Country still is yet to see what that looks like, but I believe in them based on the intel that we get, the people that we talk to. I've been hearing a lot of positives about Austin Simmons, 100%. So I feel like Ole Miss is right on the cusp. Tennessee, right on the cusp. Auburn pained me, pained me. But I said to myself, like, hey, I had no problem with it. They were on the outside looking in. But we also put respect on some programs that need to bounce back. Duke needs to bounce back in 2025. We gave them, what, 6 votes? Florida State, that went only 2 games last year. We have them bouncing back, and they got votes. That's something that sticks out to me. We also show love to Nebraska, BYU, and Utah as a brand. Now, Moon will probably be championing the love for BYU and Utah before anybody in the CFB Nation thing is, but at least boldly in as far as a poll. But those are some teams that's getting there. Now, what went into the process of doing this, Moon? Well, let's talk to you more about that. So, for me, it was a combination of a couple of weeks. I had a lot of things going on, so I had to really dedicate and put time out. It was a combination of watching these teams film in 2025. I put into my rankings factors like return on production. I looked at where we are based off of spring ball and what I've been hearing in fall camp. I looked at roster construction. Ultimately, the deciding factor for me for a lot of situations was coaching. Like, what does your coaching staff looks like? What does your head coach looks like? So the top 4 teams for me are all coaches that I trust. That was kind of my process with it. I wanted to go based off what I knew. There, of course, there's unknowns, but you want to go off what you know first and then fill in the gaps afterwards. And because I spent a lot of time covering a lot of these programs, it got a little bit intel, but there's still some teams that I still was like, eh. So if we go back to the top 25 for a second, I could tell you some teams that I'm like, you ready? All right, I am too. Team that I feel, Texas. Why you feel like that, Moon? Well, you trying to put Archie into the building as a new quarterback with a new revamped offensive line? Interesting. I understand their defensive back room is loaded. I get it. I heard you. Probably not as elite as last year's unit was because they had Jadad Barron. Like, they had some dogs, but I hear you. I hear Anthony Hill being junior being there. I get it. But I feel like expectations are through the roof and you haven't done anything yet. Last time I checked, you didn't beat Georgia. But you're ranked higher than them. Okay. That makes sense. Like, that's the reigning, defending SEC champion, in my opinion. So I'm looking at that like, okay, I'm not on the Texas hype. If I had to make a case for them, their running back room is going to be loaded for sure. Wisner, it was a blast to watch him work and just elevate his game in 2025, 24. Steve Sarkisian is something that we should trust by now. But the harsh reality is that y'all got pushed to the wire about Arizona State. Like, for real. Clemson. Clemson was fighting back. And if y'all didn't have home field advantage, I don't know what that game would have looked like if it was on a real neutral field and not in a first round playoff game hosted at home. So when I look at this, it's like teams as I'm still waiting for the season to start. Now, Texas in my poll, I'm gonna show y'all that later, or maybe next week to start or maybe this weekend. Who knows? I'm gonna show you my poll. But based on what CFB Nation said, I love it that we didn't put Texas as the national favorite when there's clearly teams that have better resumes, in my opinion, or a better roster construction, or a better coaching staff, in my opinion, or they have better stability on their offensive line. Like, there's teams in front of them, and I said, okay, 100%. Get it. I get it. That leads me to the elephant in the room. Yes, Clemson is my number 1 favorite team. Clemson has been my number 1 team. I've been talking about Clemson since the national championship ended in 2025 this year on what, January the 20th? As soon as the game ended, I said, oh, Clemson going to be here next year. Just go ahead and book it. You believe in them that much, Mo? Yeah. Why wouldn't I? I've been watching the Clemson Tigers up close over the last 3 years. In fact, I've probably been in more Clemson games over the last 3 years combined than most people probably ever will get to. And that, for that, to God be the glory. So I'm able to see this program from a different vantage point than most people are. When people were doubting Dabo last year, I'm like, man, there's still a chance. There's still a chance. There's still a chance. They just got to win the ACC. I'm not gonna forgive them for losing at home against Louisville. Nope, not gonna happen. I'm not gonna forgive you for getting smacked against Georgia because that loss happened in week 1 of the season. And people still talk about it like that was their last game of the year. I'm not gonna forgive y'all for what y'all did in Texas. I'm not, because you should have pounced on Texas early and often. But where we are in 2025, there's a new defensive coordinator in the ranks, and he's affecting this entire team. And that's the reason why I have so much confidence in Clemson, because Clemson has some dogs. Their talent is on their roster is monumental. The thing that makes me fall in love with them is their defensive coordinator hire with Coach Allen coming in, who is raising the intensity. You can watch their documentaries and their Clemson vlogs and see that their intensity is different from last year this time and this year this time. You might look at teams with better overall roster construction and look at them and say, oh, okay, like there's a team with better roster construction. Oh, Penn State, I get you. Georgia, I get you. LSU, I get you. Even Oregon with all the young talent that they have, I get you. I get you. But as far as returning production, one of the metrics that we look at the most, last time I checked, out of the top 10 that's pictured on your screen, there's only 2 quarterbacks that are returning, well, 3 that are returning as a starting quarterback for their program heading into 2025. And those teams are LSU, ranked at number 9 with Garrett Nussmeier. Number 2, Drew Allard coming back for Penn State. And then number 1, K. Klubnik, over 40 plus touchdowns last year, kept his offensive coordinator last time I checked. Wide receiver room is still loaded. They got a new weapon in the running back room with Gideon Davison. Offensive line is all returning vets. Probably the best offensive line in the nation. I said it. I said it. They're gonna be looking at that award for best offensive line this year. 100%. It's just the writing is on the wall. For sure. You look at the defensive line and the fact that they got dudes all up and down the line, from TJ Parker to Peter Woods to the freshman that's rotating in, Amari, and linebacker room, Wade Woodass, Sammy Brown. Then you go to their defensive backs with Khalil Barnes and Evrion Terrell. Like, I can go on. But at the core of it is coaching. At the core of it is continuity. And the team that has the most continuity, in my opinion, and the team that I trust the most in this season is number 1 in the CFB Nation official top 25. That alone in itself, I have no problems with. No problems with. Georgia made the top 5. Don't have no problems with that. Would I rank them higher? Yes. In my poll, I had them at number 3. But to my defense, I'm higher on Georgia and Alabama and also LSU more than I am on Texas. That's 100%. I genuinely feel that way. I feel like LSU at number 9. I'll talk about that in a second, about things that I don't like about our poll, or things that but let's just keep going. Other teams that stick out to me as far as in the CFB Nation poll that's ranked, that it's good. It's good to see. It's good to still see Miami at number 10, bro. It's good to see that the consensus still agrees, regardless of what we feel like about Carson Beck, regardless of even how we feel about Cristobal as a whole, as a CFB Nation company. We seem to have the same thought process that Miami is top 10 team. Now, not everybody feels like that. I get it. I understand, bro. I get it. I think I look at Miami and fall in love with their trenches more than anything, before I even look at their wide receiver core and who they have to replace. Because Horton left. You got a lot of pieces of Strepo left. Cam Ward left. Like, there's so many different unknowns, but the things that are known is that Francis Moaga is still there. Moigawa, I should say. Ruben Bain still there. Like they still, their offense and defensive line is going to carry this team 100%. So I don't have no problem with Miami. Now, the team that I probably have the most problems with, Arizona. Well, I'll get that to that in a second. I'm still on the love list. I respect Kansas State being in the top 15. I respect South Carolina being in the top 11. I know people are saying that the South Carolina hype. They got to figure out their running back position very fast. It's looking like it's going to be a committee based on what Mr. Brian Bosarge told me in our deep dive for South Carolina. But after doing a deep dive, I can understand why. They're going to need to to shore up, excuse me, the defensive line room, specifically in the defensive tackles, because I mean they're losing so many guys. So that's going to be where I'm paying attention to the most for South Carolina, for sure. Florida, I I'm right there with you. I think I have Florida right in the same range. So I like that. I'm high on Texas Tech, so that's good. Oklahoma right in the same range. Okay, so in Louisville being ranked. Now, this is before I get into what I don't like about the poll, and it's just from where my rankings are. I love the bowl. It's our CFB Nation Bowl. But for where my ranking is different from the consensus, it's a lot of teams. But for what it's worth, I love Louisville being ranked. So if you tell me based on our poll, we have Clemson ranked number 1, SMU ranked 18, Louisville ranked 23. If we wanted to swap those and have Louisville at 18, Louisville at 18, Clemson at 23, I wouldn't be mad at that at all. At all, actually. In fact, I would have a little bit more comfort. Because I feel like out of all the schools in the ACC, at least in the top that's in that range, I have to sit here and say, is SMU better than Georgia Tech? I'm asking you, is SMU better than Georgia Tech? Is SMU better than Louisville? At least projecting in 2025. Is SMU better than Miami? Is SMU better than Duke? Is SMU better than Florida State? I'm not being that guy. I'm just saying this is a new look Florida State roster with new talent, new coaches. Everything is different there. We got to look at 2025, not 2024. When I start asking myself those questions, I'm like, oh, okay, I understand, but I can also see why people will have some pushback, you know? Happy to see Baylor ranked. I have my own thought process on Baylor, but I'm happy to see Baylor getting love. We've been talking up Baylor all offseason, the entire offseason, saying Baylor is going to overachieve and Sawyer Robinson is the next big thing, and saying that there are 2 running backs between Dawson and Bryson. Come on, bro. Like, what are you talking about? They have returners in the wide receiver core. They don't have to teach a new offense to nothing. Dave Aranda is going to be calling plays on defense like he's a madman because he finally got control. The man took back. Give me that. What do you do, Mo? Give me that. What you doing, Slim? Give me back them defensive play calls. Hey, I love it. I love it. Do what you got to do, bro. Do what you got to do in order to get the job done. And obviously, you know that I love when Oklahoma gets some love because I feel like this is not the same Oklahoma 2024. I can understand people being lower on Oklahoma for sure. I get it. Prove it to me first before we award you any crowns. I get it. I hear you. But why don't you have that same intensity to Indiana, especially after they got kicked out of the playoff like they did? Yeah. I'll wait. Oh, let's talk about the elephant in the room. There's more people that have more concerns about Gunnar Stockton, who played in a college football playoff last year, than they do about Arch Manning. I'm gonna let that one marinate and cook. Yeah, not trying to come at you, Texas fans. I'm just saying, let's put it in context. Gunner's a bum. We don't know who he is. The man put some respect on his name. The man just played Notre Dame last time we seen him. Like, we've got to talk about it. Talk about it, Moan. All right. Now, for all the things that I love about the CFB Nation poll, this is the consensus. This is not mine. I voted in this, you know. Shout out to the squad, gang. Now the things that I do not like. Let me take a sip of water, bro. I don't know how to start this off with, it says lead with love. I'm gonna start with love. I love, without a shadow of a doubt, being looked at as the person that's higher on a team than the rest of the people are, because when the season starts and money starts to talk and wins start to walk, we gonna see. There is no way on God's green and blue and cloudy earth, no way that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. There's 40. There is no way that there are 27 plus teams. 27. Really, since you talk about the metrics, I got to take the top 10 out because I had them at. So let's just see 20 teams that are better than Southern California and the USC Trojans. I put money on it. Matter of fact, if you want to go to Bet US, our sponsors, if you want to go to the Vegas sport book, you want to put some odds down, you trying to make some cash in 2025, bet on the over for USC. Bet on the over. I'm a believer. I did a deep dive into this team. I looked at the entire roster, top to bottom. I broke it down. Go watch the episode. We talked about it from Kyle Lemon, Jacoby Lane, quarterback, Jaden Mayoff, the running back room and how that's going to look different. The defensive back room, how it has veterans and young freshmen coming in that all can play. The linebacker room, who's getting Eric Gentry back, that was banged up last year and is a vital force for this defense. The defensive line with Jakeem Stewart coming in as a 5-star freshman. The 2026 class, that's a whole nother story that we're talking about, but there are not 20 plus, 15 plus teams that are better than USC Trojans. I had them on my outside top 12. They were like number 12 for me. 100%. I am a full believer in Lincoln Riley this year. I will die on that cliff with my sword in hand, screaming, "Fight on, USC! Fight on!" I am a believer. Last year was the beginnings of it. No more Miller Moss. Okay. No more Zachariah Branch. Okay. No more this player and that player. Okay. No more Bear. Okay. Whatever. Okay. I get it. But you cannot sit here and tell me from a roster construction standpoint that Southern California is not a top 15 team, in my opinion. I said it on KT, on Governor of College Football earlier today. If I had to put money on it, if you had to say who would win in the preseason where we are currently constructed, who would win head to head? If your team had to play 10 times, who would win head to head? Let's just do the math. I'm gonna go back to the poll because I know people want to see the poll. Like, let me see the poll, Mo. I'm tired of seeing your big head. Okay, I'm gonna get out the way. Look, USC beating Texas A&M, USC beating Boise State, USC beating Louisville. They also taking Baylor to the woodshed. They beating Iowa State, they beating Michigan, Indiana, wiping the floor with SMU, Oklahoma. Because I love John Mateer, but that's a dub. Texas Tech, I don't care how much NIL money you got. You're going to take a loss that day. Kansas State, dub. Illinois, we got to come see you, Illinois, in Champaign, Illinois. Illinois is going to take a loss that day against USC. Book it. I'm 100% confident in that. Why are you so strongly about it? Who is going to stop them? USC in 2025, I already gave y'all my bold prediction. The blue bloods of college football, the teams that we're not used to seeing, but they are the traditional blue bloods. The teams like Nebraska, they're gonna be good in 2025. Florida State, they're gonna be back good in 2025. Southern California is going to be good in 2025. Like, we have to realize this, people. I'm just beginning. This is 2025. I'm not even selling you on 2026 yet. But this is just the beginning. So I don't feel like there's teams that's better than them. And as much as I put love in USC, the next team that I'm about to talk about would take USC to the wire and get a dub. Utah received 2 votes for the top 25. And guess who voted for them? How high did you have Utah ranked in your poll, Moon? Oh, well. Shoot, I had Utah at like number 11. CFB Nation poll has Utah like 30 plus, you know? Why do you believe in Utah so much? They got probably 2 of the best offensive linemen in the conference. Straight up. The best offensive line in the entire Big 12 conference. That is a fact. Spencer Fano by himself. Spencer Fano by himself can make a grown man fall in love. After meeting him and talking to him, yes. They got Barton coming back in the linebacker room. who's going to be a dog. They have a player on the DB room. His name is Smith Snowden. He is a problem. He is a problem. You look at this defensive line, they're going to keep churning out guys. They got a rotation now at Utah. And then the thing I love about Utah the most, one, that Kyle Whittingham said, oh, I'm coming back. I'm not going to tell you if I'm retiring or not. But two, Devin Dampierre. It is the Devin Dampierre show in 2025. He will be a person that's getting so much love by the time the season ends. I am sure of this. This is like one of those writing on the wall. I feel like I'm on my wall writing on it. And then I'm looking at it and saying, oh, look at the masterpiece. I would be crazy not to believe it. Crazy. Now, if he said, who do you think is the best team in Utah? Utah. Utah. If Utah had to play BYU in the Holy War, I'm taking Utah 100%. 100%. But I will also take Utah over Texas A&M, Boise State, Louisville, Baylor, Iowa State, Michigan, Indiana, SMU, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, Kansas State, Illinois, Florida, Arizona State, and I would be tempted to take them over USC, University of South Carolina, and I'll also be tempted to take them over Miami. Head to head. If you had to win 6 out of the 10, you had to win 6 out of the 10 in order to win. I'm taking you head to head. That's where it will stop, because from there in the top 25, I feel like there's a drastic cutoff. But those rest of those teams, oh yes, I believe that strongly in Utah in 2025. And I'm probably one of the 1%ers that you're going to ever hear that have capping come out of their mouth. But I would rather tell you now so you can prepare for the storm instead of having the hurricane come and you're getting blown away by all these winds and all this force that's hitting you in your face right now. I'm trying to get you time to duck and hide for cover. 100%. Coach Whittingham, he got a juggernaut on his hands this year. And I think Utah underachieved so much that people don't have the guts and the cojones to try to bet on them now. But that's why you gotta no ball. Devin Dampierre almost had 20 rushing touchdowns last year, and he bring to tell me that he's playing behind one of the better offensive lines in the entire conference, and I can't project that to go up even what he had to deal with at New Mexico. All right, okay. What else do you don't care for, Moon, in the poll? This is the consensus poll. This is not mine. So I can actually take this angle. But all of this is rooted in love because I love our poll. Illinois is not a top 15 team, in my opinion. Illinois has a roster that for sure you can look at it and say, yep, I can understand. I understand. They got all their returning linemen coming back for last time I checked. Defensive line gonna have to make some leaps and some changes. Linebacker room, I'm still loving it. I love the fact that their consistency remains in their coaching staff. Their consistency remains also in their strength and training room too. I love that with Illinois. I can look between the lines. But the thing I do not love about Illinois is, one, where your running back room is, especially when you're trying to control pace of the games. I don't love where your wide receiver core is, especially when you need offense in order to score. You're not going to be able to just slug it out. What I love, Luke Altmaier. Luke Altmaier is one of the better quarterbacks in the Big Ten, for sure. One of the most experienced quarterbacks at this point heading into 2025 for a quarterback in the Big Ten, for sure. But I'm not sold. I look at their schedule and I looked at the rankings and I made my rankings for myself, not with the schedule baked in, because that can make you rank a Florida at 20 when you can really look at just the rating of the team and say Florida is way higher than that. We can't punish them because for their schedule without even playing it yet. We gotta just look at what they have. So when I look at the same thing with Illinois, I can see the roster construction and say it's all together and returning production, but it still don't hit for me yet because I feel like Florida has a better roster than them. I feel like based on our polls, Miami has a better roster. LSU, Oregon, all these teams, and then you talk about the teams that's behind them. I'll probably take Texas Tech roster over Illinois, and Illinois probably would have the edge in the coaching ranks. You know, it's tough. If you had to make me choose between Illinois and Indiana, I would choose neither. Neither. Illinois got in my rankings, but I did not rank Illinois. I did not rank Indiana. Indiana did not get ranked in my poll. 100%. So that's what I didn't care. If you had to tell me where do you put Illinois then on? Where do you swap them out? Well, that's easy. Put them where I had them before, in the 20-ish range. 20-ish, 22. And that's the same way I feel about Kansas State. Traditionally, Kansas State usually finishes in the 20-ish range. Like that's been their history. I'm going to lean into the history of it. That's what I love about our poll. And also Boise State, Louisville getting love, things of that nature. So now let's talk about some more elephants in the room. BYU not being ranked in the top 25, I get it because of the quarterback situation, but like let's actually talk ball and let's talk about the rest of the pieces on that roster. Did Chase Roberts just disappear? Did LJ Martin disappear? Are they just caught up in Halloween Town with Jack Skellington? Like, are they out there like a nightmare before Christmas and there's just ghosts? Nah, like they're still there. Last time I checked on BYU, LJ Martin was killing it in camp. Last time I checked, their defense was balling out. Last time I checked, they're just trying to figure out their quarterback situation. But they know who their identity is. I feel like we punished BYU already because they are the Mormons. And then we punished them already because, I mean, who cares about BYU? At least from the public perception. Florida, more sexy. Arizona State, more sexy. I can name 5 more sexier teams in the conference of Big 12. Kansas State, more sexy with the purple royalty and Avery Johnson. Sunshine, sunshine. Sexy. Utah to me is sexy. Salt Lake City, sexy. You know, I can give you sexier teams, but that the core of what I'm saying is that it's not. There's so many different factors that we got to rank in, put into these rankings, 100%. But there's certain teams that I'm not higher on. Illinois and Kansas State fit the bill for teams that are ranked high in the 14-15 range, but I would flip-flop them with Oklahoma and Michigan. I would flip-flop them with Texas Tech. I'll put Texas Tech above them. I'm in a position where I'm like, Kirk Cignetti has to prove it to me in this year. But for where we are and for what it's worth, love it. Any other things that I had that I felt some type of way? Oh, Arizona State. I'm going to say this. What do you do when the guy that was the identity for your team is no longer there and you trying to live up with expectations where you would much rather be the underdog than you would to be the hunted? Arizona State is in that position. I had them outside my top 25. Moon, what are you saying right now? I know. But you mean to tell me I got to put Auburn above them? I would put Auburn above them. Shoot, I put probably Ole Miss above them too. I think TCU can run their lunch money. Like, I think that Arizona State is going to go through a interesting year of adapted to being the hunted in the Big 12 in a conference that was already out for blood, and now it just got deeper and more loaded. 100%. Their roster construction, they're going to have to adapt and put it on Levitt. Levitt led the nation as far as scramble yards, 100%. We know how talented he is. We know how this defense has some ballers. I get it. But I just think when I look at the whole of it, I don't trust their offense. I don't trust what I've been hearing out of camp. I don't trust them being in the position of the hunted. I like them in the position of the underdog. Kenny Dillingham, out of his own mouth, said that he don't like being in this position. So I'm supposed to look at that and say, oh, I got so much confidence in Arizona State. Nah, give me Utah to win the conference. Give me Utah to win the conference. I'm going out on a limb. I'm taking Utah. I'll come out there and plant my flag 100%. Other things I noticed in the poll. I was surprised to see Syracuse get 3 votes. Not because they don't got talent and not because they don't got Fran Brown, but because are we believing in Ricky Collins? Could there possibly be a situation brewing in week 1 where Ricky Collins comes in and balls out against Tennessee and now he goes from not being talked about at LSU to perfect redemption story? I looked at that perfect. I'm higher on LSU. I'm higher on Louisville than I am. Let's see. I'm higher than Louisville at 23 in our poll. I'm higher on Louisville. So I had Louisville like in the top 15-ish. I think they were 15. Because I just believe in Jeff Brom. I believe in Miller Moss and what the sample size. People have to look at the full body of work and not just the pieces that make their argument the best. You gotta look at the full argument and full body of work. And Miller Moss was productive. But USC also is in what? How many one score games? Like 7, 5-7. It's a coin toss at that point. Jeff Brom has a history of developing quarterbacks. This quarterback now doesn't have to do it all. He has 2 running backs in the backfield, while Isaac Brown and Duke Watson that's going to be able to push for the ACC, all ACC this year, maybe even All American for Isaac Brown. I would love to see it happen for Duke too, but I'm higher on Louisville with Chris Bell. The defense is looking better. I've been hearing about Strides. Will I go to Louisville? Nope. Nope. Sorry, but I'm not gonna let that affect my let that be biased in my rankings. I ranked Louisville like top 15. I think they were like 15 or 16. Texas Tech, I'm high on. Oklahoma, I'm higher on. They were in the 20 plus range. I had Kansas move down. And yeah, I had Boise State right around the same margin too. So all in all, I love these rankings. 100%. This is not me complaining. This is just me telling you that there's a difference of opinion. And I'm sure everybody else on the list probably is going to look at mine or look at the top 25 and say, as a consensus, we did a great job. But there are still some things that are spicy. One of the things that's spicy to me the most is LSU at number 9. You cannot look at some of these rosters and tell me that they're more talented as far as roster construction than LSU. I had LSU as my number 5 team because I looked at their roster and I said, this team is scary. Not only do I return my starting quarterback, but I got a freshman running back that's coming in by the name of Harlem. I have Caden Durham already still there. I know I just lost Will Campbell. I know I just had to make some changes to the draft. But where we are as far as our offensive line, I understand that's one of the weaknesses. But do you see our wide receiver core? Barry and Brown, both of the Andersons, Nick and Aaron. I mean, bro, they got some dogs. And then the thing that makes me super excited for LSU is the defense, one of the better linebacker cores in the nation. With their DB room that had a history of getting cooked in 2023, 2024 they made progress in certain and definitely in stretches and waves. But I think this is the year for them to take that next leap. 100%. I had LSU like number 5, which means that I also had Georgia number 3, and I was lower on Ohio State. Sorry, Buckeyes fans, but the reasons why are already known. I had Ohio State lower. I think Ohio State was like number. They were in the 4 through 6 range. I'm going out the top of my head for a bracket that I did a couple of days ago. Oregon. I'm higher on Oregon than most people are because they have Dante Moore. People forget that they have Mekhi Hughes, and they also have the guy Noah who was there for a while now. When I look at the wide receiver core, they have so many questions about Evan Stewart being out and all of that. You see that they got the best wide receiver that they could ask, that money could buy, that life could dream up, that God could create. What Jeremiah Smith did last year, I have fear that's going to happen again with Corey Moore in Oregon because Dante Moore got to throw somebody the ball. Their tight end is getting a lot of love in Oregon, and I think he's going to be an absolute problem in their offense. But ultimately, I feel like they can lean into their run game a lot more this year because Tulane actually decided to let somebody go by the name of Mekhi Hughes, who's coming in and trying to take people's lunch money, man. And then Oregon's defense, like, this team is a team that can extend so much over the course of the year. Like, if you had to pick one team that you could look at week 1 to where they are to championship weekend and who will have the most growth as a program just based on how young they are, it's the Oregon Ducks. Like, you better believe it. When you look at their profile and their schedule, they have immense opportunities to not only seal their fate for a college football playoff, but they go to Happy Valley, the team that's ranked number 2 in our rankings. They go to Happy Valley. Don't you think they need that game? Yeah. They go to Kinnick Stadium in Iowa, a team that I could see people ranking in their top 25 just because if you believe in their defense and their quarterback upgrade. They got to go to Iowa and Kinnick. Another game that they have to have. Oregon's schedule is making up perfectly. They've been through the fire. They had to go jump around last year in Wisconsin. Dan Lanning is going to have his team ready and prepared. That leads me to the next one. Alabama. Alabama probably has the most loaded wide receiver core and DB room that it's truly sensational, bro. It really baffles me how we continue to do this as a college football ecosystem. Every year, it feels like this year is so weird because we have four teams in our top five who, I mean, we're used to Georgia and Alabama being at the top. So it's weird to see them not there. But for my money, I feel like Alabama is going to do wonders this year. Alabama's going to be, I would hate to play Bama this year. It's the fact that Bama goes to Georgia. Ooh. Ooh. Man, I'd probably take Bama to win the game. It's a toss-up at this point because they are loaded. And now they got the quarterback position solved. They got probably one of the best offensive linemen in the nation. Some other guys that are some dogs. Defensive line is going to take some next steps. Linebacker room that I'm banking on is going to be fearless and relentless this year. And a DB room that's probably one of the most loaded in the country. I'm looking at this team like, yo, we might be too low on Alabama, just like we are too low on Georgia, and we're probably too high on Texas. So, hey, the one team that I fear is being too high on Clemson. If I'm too high on Clemson and Clemson drops the ball this year, I don't know what stipulation I'll cook up for myself, but I won't be able to forgive me. That would be like my eyes lied to me. My eyes lied to me and told me and convinced me that Clemson was number one. And then they're dropping the ball, especially when Dabo is coming out saying we can go 16-0. 16-0. Notre Dame, when you look at their defense, is amazing. And then you look at Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price. Like, I mean, what not to love? Marcus Freeman, at that point, I think I rated Notre Dame in my top 4 just based off of top coaches in the game alone. Because I believe in Marcus Freeman's ascension. And they just have to handle the games and they need to and not drop the ones that they're not supposed to. That's with them. I think that's my overall thought process on our top 25. Again, some teams that I would have loved seeing in the top 25. Southern California, USC. I had USC at like number 11 or 12 in the country. No, they were like 13. I had Utah at number 11. So I'm higher on Utah more than CFB Nation's consensus. I'm higher on USC more than CFB Nation's consensus, like overwhelmingly. I'm lower on SMU. I'm lower on Kansas State and Illinois. I am supremely low on Arizona State. And it just comes down to being hunted 100%. I'm surprisingly neutral when it comes to Miami just because I've gone past the place of worrying all about Carson Beck. Like, the core of this team is going to be in the trenches. I love LSU. I had LSU in like my top 5. I had 3 SEC teams in my top 5, and none of them were Texas. None of them were Texas. I picked Georgia, Alabama, and LSU over Texas. That's just me. So that's my overall pose. What I thought, what I like. Did I mention Florida? Yeah, Florida. It was hard to pick teams that I feel like could beat them head to head. But you can't convince me that Arizona State can beat beat Florida head to head. When I started looking at the other teams, I'm like, that's a tough road. But I'm so tired of people giving commentary, and the first thing that they mention is, oh my God, Florida and their schedule. But they don't talk about the players that they have outside of DJ Lagway. Like, bro, this probably might be one of Florida's most talented rosters under Billy Napier right now. And there's still some question marks because of some injuries that just happened in camp, things that we're waiting on. DJ Lagway, is he healthy? Is he not? So those are my ideas. And those are my thoughts on where we are in the CFB Nation poll. I talked about that for a while, but I planned on it heading into this show. This is the world of college football. And this is where we talk about everybody in the college football
Look
ecosystem.
at you out here using all these other sports books and you ain't even using the best one. Bet US. Get 125% match bonus when you use the promo code CFB Nation. Yeah, you heard me correctly. 125% match bonus on your first deposit using that code CFB Nation. We know that college football is in the off season, even though we don't celebrate that. You know, CFB Nation, we do college football 24/7. But there are plenty of things for you guys to bet on.
Who will have the most wins? OKC Thunder or Cleveland Cavaliers? Can Luka and LeBron make it all mesh to make it to the play-in tournament? Maybe you're a college basketball guy ready to risk it all for Florida to make it to the big dance.
Basketball isn't for you? Maybe you're a football guy. Well, BetUS got you covered with this year's UEFA Championship. Can Liverpool or Barcelona win it all? Will Erling Haaland or Harry Kane lead their teams to victory?
May is going to get popping when the Kentucky Derby hits town. BetUS has you covered in that way too, with all major horse racing events. Point is, type in that promo code CFB Nation and go get that money. Look, if you're trying to host us on the CFB Nation tour, as I'm getting emails right now of other things happening behind the scenes, if you're trying to host us on the CFB Nation tour, we would greatly appreciate you. However, you should know that we are conducting a full-fledged tour. So if you tell us no, like, you have to understand that we're going to have to work around, and we already have different pathways established throughout the season. So look, we would love to come to your university. We would love to be able to go live from your campus. We would love to be able to, cover the game from not only the pure sense of the word, but really take the driver's seat on the conversation that doesn't want to be had about independent media. I understand people love 247 Sports. People love On 3. People love CBS. People love ESPN. People love all these different people. But at the end of the day, in the beginning of every single morning, CFB Nation has been here literally growing right in front of your face. And it's impossible for you to ignore. There are schools from all over the country that are trying to host us on tour. So we won't take it personal that you tell us no, or get overly excited if you tell us yes. What matters is the relationships. We care about building relationships. And as a person that tends to these relationships in this garden that CFB Nation has, I want to extend an open invite. If you're trying to host us on tour, just let us know. When we put in those credentials requests, don't act like you don't know us. Don't act like you didn't tell us to work on our website and we did, and then now you got to move the goalposts and say, oh, well, we don't know how your coverage is going to be. You see it on our website. Go look at it. We don't know how you're going to cover us. Go look at our coverage at Radio Row. This is not bragging, and if it is, it's doing it in the name of our Lord and Savior. And at the end of the day, we put in the work. Not even just through this whole entire offseason. I'm talking about the entire team has put in the work to be in this point. So beyond just a CFB Nation poll for the preseason top 25, beyond just us, we cover college football. You should get used to it because we're not going nowhere. Either let us in or we're going to build a table and we're going to end up being the person that's telling you that you not approved for our tour. I just wanted to say that. We got an email from Kansas University and we sent them an email and they're going to deny us credentials to come to Kansas for the opening of their stadium. Like the University of Hawaii don't want us all to come out and host us. Like, we got to make it make sense. We talk ball here. No off season. This is CFB Nation. This is CFB Nation's special presentation of World of College Football. Shout out to our hosts. Special shout out to the sponsors. Also, special shout out to you for watching. I just had to get a little rant out of my system for real. Because don't you hate when people be playing in your face? Like they don't, like, you've been here this whole time and they're going to act like they don't know who you are. I guess that's people for you. That's the world of college football that we live in. They love your coverage, but when it comes to standing in front of your face, they don't want to talk about it, though. They'll act like they love your coverage, but in your face, they'll act like they don't know you. Let that be a testament to everybody and anybody that's trying to build something from scratch, trying to make an impact in this world. It doesn't matter what they say. The harsh reality is that you do what you do, and you've been doing what you do. Let's just keep it there. Let's end the show off with a bang. You know what I'm saying? I got to talk about my guy. I would not be able to do this show without talking about my guy and my deep dive for that episode. Since we cover everybody in the college football world on this show, and there's nobody that's exempt, I wanted to take some time to shout out the North. The North. There's a team that's out there that probably don't get enough love, and they go by a name of the Gophers. And if you let them tell it, they are golden. Very much so golden. And make sure you put the golden before you say the Gophers, Moon. I'm sorry. Y'all probably got some of the best drip in the Big Ten. I'm sorry. I ain't talking about Oregon. I mean, next tier of teams. I love Minnesota. And that's why I had to talk about them. Minnesota fans, it's your turn. We might not be doing a deep dive on the whole team yet, but trust me, when we start doing our team previews and our breakdowns of these games, we're going to talk about you 100%. We covering Minnesota for sure. But there's a team, there's a guy that needs so much love. I mean, so much love. People out there witnessed Travis Hunter and what he did in 2024, 2023, and it was like, oh my goodness, there probably won't ever be another one like him. And I'm like, you're probably right about that, honestly. And then I started just looking over the college football world and saying, are there any guys that can be in that same type of breed of dog? You know, are there anybody that has a team behind them that will play them in multiple positions and trust and knows that they can't win if they don't do so? Is there anybody that's scouting the world of college football right now that can be the next wave of that talent? Let me introduce you to Coy Perich. And this is the Coy Perich story. Let's take you to Minnesota and paint the scene for you. This is the world of college football. And that Minnesota's Gibson-Nagurski complex, that name Nagurski might ring a bell to you. The August air right now is thick, and it's honestly coming down to fall camp being in full swing right now. I mean, the speakers are blasting, the whistles are intense, the coaches are even more intense, and the way that we got the hype right now for Minnesota should make Minnesota fans feel very great heading into this. But somewhere between the offensive huddle and the defensive secondary, it's like a flash of white that just comes out of nowhere. And if you blink too fast, you just might miss it. And then all you just see is like a streak of red, like you're looking at Flash. You might be talking about, who are you talking about, Mo? Shoot, if you watch this guy, you might think that he's two players, but he's actually only one guy. And he actually plays and practice with a split jersey. Number 3, split straight down the middle. White on one side for defense, red on the other side for offense. The half and half jersey that is made iconic right now. It's not a fashion statement, bro. I feel like it's a warning label to the rest of the conference and really this nation that Minnesota has an All-American safety on their defense, and they are unleashing him everywhere this season. You need to be aware. And by the time that we get to fall camp being done, look, Coy Perich is going to make his name known to the entire country. He's going to make it known. Like, he is a security for Minnesota. Whether it's breaking up a pass on third down or running a drag route in 7-on-7 drills, fielding a punt in special teams period without leaving the field, he stays on the field. You know that group in the 80s, I think his name was Cameo? He don't need no cameo. He a star by himself. A one-man band. Like, this is Michael Jackson without Tito, without all the other guys and gals. There's no need. He's a solo act. 3-phase residency that he lives in Minnesota. And most of the people around the nation, the scary part is they have no idea about this happening right now. This is the world of CFB. A year ago, Coy Perich was a freshman that nobody could ignore because he didn't just play. He absolutely flipped games on their heads. 5 interceptions, including 2 pick night in the Rose Bowl versus UCLA. Yeah, that UCLA. 13 tackle performance where he was all over the field. A masterpiece against the Nittany Lions. Penn State. Yeah, he balled out. A block punt on special teams in the All-American Bowl before he even stepped on campus. The ESCO Minnesota homegrown product came to the Gophers as the number 1 player in the state of Minnesota. And within months, He was the first Minnesota freshman since 1986 to make first team All Big Ten. Now, with the year under his belt playing in the warfare of a conference known as the Big Ten, oh man, he's out there trying to do something that's rarer than what he did last year. Have a legitimate 3-phase workload that we're going to see him playing everywhere. But in order to talk about that, we got to talk about the physics of actually playing everywhere. The moment the defense leaves the field, Coy Perich's helmet might be back on the offensive series. The moment that they leave the field, Coy Perich's helmet is going to be out there for special teams. What water break? There's another high-speed sprint through coverage lanes or a punt return where 11 bodies are hunting you. He's going to live in the fire in 2025. But head coach PJ Flack said it's conditioning. It's knowing your body and still having enough juice to be able to play in the fourth quarter and make the biggest play of the game. That's not just a skill. History shows how rare that this situation is because Charles Woodson did it in 1997. Champ Bailey did it in 1998. Travis Hunter just won the Heisman doing it in 2024. And each time the challenge wasn't just about production. It was about sustaining focus when everyone around you was gassed. You saw how many snaps Travis Hunter played last year? And he didn't even look winded. Coy Perich's journey to conditioning is rooted in the fabric of who he is. He has a multi-sport background already. He was a track state champ in the long jump. He was also a basketball standout. This gives him an edge that most players couldn't even dream of because he is an athlete. But even for an athlete like him, this is still uncharted territory for him. So let's break it down even further. Let's talk about the offensive side of the game. Greg Harbaugh, Minnesota's offensive coordinator, he didn't need to be convinced. His exact quote was, "Why wouldn't I want the ball in his hands?" That sounds familiar, right? Coy Perich's offensive role is not going to be gimmick trick plays. He's going to be in real packages, quick slants, slot fades, jet sweep motions that force defenses to adjust on the fly. The chemistry already with sophomore quarterback Drake Lindsey is helping. It's building a sense of trust in the offseason workouts, meaning that Drake Lindsey can throw him open without hesitation, and he already comes in knowing the route tree. Coy is going to bring in less total receptions, probably than what people, this is not no 100+ reception type situation. No, this is more about threat density and maximizing the fact that you have a literal threat if we need to put him out there. Because every single time that he lines up on the offense, the defense has to respect him and honor him and slide their coverage this way. Look, you're either going to have to do that or you're going to have to pick and choose between having 2 running backs in your running back room. But Darius Taylor and AJ, make your pick. What do you want to do? What do you want to stop today? This is going to be like an algebra problem that defensive coordinators around the Big Ten and really around the country that Minnesota have to play, they're going to have to solve in 2025. And then you talk about the other side of the game and this defensive just wittiness and savviness. The offensive buzz is going to give him a lot of praise, 100%, bro. But make no mistake, he's staying home. Literally, we're talking about him being a recruit and being in Minnesota, the pride of Minnesota, but staying home on defense too. Minnesota, if you look at their scheme, they thrive on disguising coverages, baiting quarterbacks. And guess what? Coy Perich has a knack for both of everything I just said. Disguising coverages, he knows how to do that immensely. Baiting quarterbacks, he did it all last year as a freshman. In 2024, 3 of his 5 interceptions came from plays where he sold one coverage before breaking on the ball in another way. That is a luxury to have. Defensive coordinator Joe Rossi calls him the trigger man, the player who can read and swing the entire secondary's movement off of just one tip of the cap. If you take Perich off defense too often, you could lose that. But that's why PJ Fleck is committed as a head coach to making sure that his offensive snaps are worth the trade when he's out there. We have to look at that. And then the third part of the situation is the fact that he is a special teams blade for this team. This is 100%, 100%. His instincts become chaos fuel because as a freshman, he returned 20 punts for 188 yards and 16 kickoffs for 314 yards. So that means to tell you that he's not just catching the ball, he's reshaping field position in every way on defense, offense, and special teams. The Golden Gophers of Minnesota led the Big Ten in average starting field position after kickoffs last year. This is why Coy Perich's vision for this team is a huge reason why he's going to be involved on special teams. Hitting yardage always matters. It always matters in this whole conversation, especially in the Big Ten. And if Coy steals 15 extra yards on the return, guess what? That's one less first down that Minnesota has to worry about gaining. In a low-scoring November football with the type of teams that you have to play in 2025, that's the kind of math that ends up equating to division titles. Or since we don't got no division, championship titles. I know Minnesota and being a record of the 2025 season is not on anybody's bingo cards, but if it had to do with anybody, it had to do with the young man that we're talking about right now in this deep dive. The story of his two-way push started long before he was at Minnesota. Y'all have to understand that. Even at Esco High School in Minnesota, he was a kind of kid asking for more defensive reps, asking for more offensive touches, saying he wanted more return duties to be involved on special teams. When you look at his high school workload and his senior year box score, he had 27 total touchdowns, 62 total tackles, 5 interceptions, and 4 return touchdowns on special teams. You're going to have to run it back just to hear the numbers that I said because I don't want to repeat them. But that's insane, bro. By the time that's his senior year. By the time he got to Minnesota's campus, they was like, oh, Coy, thank the heavens. Did you stay home? But the reality is that he was already telling Coach Harbaugh and he was telling Coach PJ that he do whatever what was needed in order to get the win. He wants a real shot at real snaps on all 3 phases of the ball. And head coach PJ Fleck, what was the one word that you used to describe how you feel about Coy Perich's request? Commitment. He said we're committed to it. There's no one more committed than that kid. So guess what? We're going to be even more committed to you, Coy. When you start to look at how this looks beyond just 2025, when this works, Coy Perich is not going to just be another star. He's going to be a recruiting weapon, a weapon that Minnesota could point to him and say, hey, there's proof that you can stay in state, stay home in Minnesota. You can play on the biggest stages against the biggest teams. You can get showcased in a way that Blue Bloods promise, but they rarely deliver to you. And now you got to transfer out because you don't get on the field and they don't want to put you on the field. NFL scouts are going to see a safety with receiver ball skills, returner acceleration, and the football IQ to process 3 playbooks at one time. When the numbers pop, it's not a question of if. When the numbers pop, 3+ interceptions, 400 receiving yards, 500+ return yards. The Heisman conversation is not impossible when you talk about Coy Perich. Travis Hunter just set the precedent. Coy Perich could definitely be the next. So I'm looking at them. I'm your boy Moon, and I'm trying to convince you. Picture this. It's a late November night in Minneapolis. The Golden Gophers are locked into a 1-score game with Iowa. Coy Perich intercepts a pass at the Minnesota 30. He jogs to the sideline for one breath. Then he trots back on offense to catch a 24-yard slant pass that sets up a touchdown. And then minutes later, after they score, he's back deep to return a punt with 1 minute and 20 seconds, 1 minute and 20 seconds left with the game in his hands. 3 snaps, 3 flavors, 3 phases, 1 player. 1 player. That's what Minnesota is betting on. And they are committed to doing that. To anybody that wants to debate me, they are committed to doing that. He has a split jersey at practice to just drive home the fact that he is that guy that's on double duties. That is Coy Parrish. And that is why I'm super high on him. Let's get it, Weez. Happy birthday, my dog. It's no, it's belated. We still celebrating though. We ain't turning down. College football season here. We ain't turning down. What did I miss? Look, this is CFB Nation's special presentation of World of College Football. 100%. And in this wonderful and wacky world that we have, sometimes you have to pull out all the stops in order to win. In Minnesota, they're banking on a kid that can be a defensive anchor, an offensive blueprint, and also a special teams savant that could come in and change the identity of the Golden Gophers and everything that feels like they can aspire to in 2025, year of our Lord. Holla if you hear me. And if you don't, no, this is a world of CFB. Clap it up, baby. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Clap it up. Clap it up. Clap it up. Clap it up. Team on me. Team on three. 1, 2, 3. Hey, bro, I can't wait for college football season. This man said, "Team on me." I'm gonna start doing breakdowns at the end of my show, like it's a real football camp. Hey, if you tune in for a second, a minute, listen to the podcast variation of this, we greatly appreciate you. Wherever you consume it, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on YouTube, and you watch it right now, hey, shout out to you. Hit that like button, twin. If you're on Twitter, hit that retweet button, hit that like button, share it, because you never know who you can help be a college football fan. You know, a retweet don't cost you money. I ain't asking for $1. Let somebody just know, man. Let somebody know. Check out thecfbnation.com for all your latest in the college football world, because there's a lot going on. Try to do our best to keep you updated. If you want to be a sponsor of our CFB Nation 2025 tour, hit me up at moonvibes at thecfbnation.com. I would love to talk to you more about this inquiry because we are going to be on tour for the 3rd straight year and expanding from sea to shining sea. You want to be a part of it. You don't want to miss what's going on. If you just saw the CFB Nation Top 25 preseason poll that just dropped, check it out. Let us know what your thoughts and comments are, whether you're on a community post, whether on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. It don't matter. Let us know. We want to know what you feel. Ball knower, since you know ball. And also, we're going to be debuting a new partnership with our guys Bull Rush very, very soon. Keep your eyes out for that. It's going to be beneficial for you, the fan of sports, the fan of college football, and you're going to get a chance to really see if you know ball. Prove it. You don't even got to put your money up the first 3 weeks. We got a promo code that you can use, and all you got to do is just sign up. More on that a little bit later. We'll talk about it. But on this special edition, when we talked about BYU and their quarterback problems and situations they're trying to work out, Boston College in their new identity that's taking shape in 2025. For an episode, we give you a refresh and an update on fall camp news and headlines from all around the country. Well, we went 2 hours solo dolo without no guests. And people still have the nerve to tell me that we don't talk college football on the episode. Well, we got to humble our ego and put our ego to the side and just actually say that thank goodness and thank the heavens that college football is here so that we don't have to be starved and deprived anymore. You know, it's been a jam-packed one. Make it a great day. And in this wonderful and wacky world of college football, there's haves and there's have-nots. There's some teams that's turning from a have to a have-not in your face, and there's some that's turning from a have to have-not, and it's right behind the scenes. You don't know. 1 week from now, week 0 gets kicked off, and college football will be popping, just like Chris Brown said. Popping. It's going to get popping. Yes, 2 weeks from now, we're going to be on Labor Day kickoff weekend, and we're not going to know what to do with ourselves. It's going to be too much things happening. But throughout this whole offseason, and even as we get to the season, you should know one thing for sure. Your boy Moan on the World of CFB, we're going to keep you covered from G5 to FCS, HBCU, Division 2, Power 5, Power 4, Power 2, however you want to call it. We're going to cover you, the people of the college football world. Until next time, my friend, stay wavy, stay safe, enjoy your Friday, make it a great one. Happy birthday to my dog Weez again. Happy birthday to Patricia. Happy birthday and happy shout out to my family, to my friends, to my loved ones, to the people on the CFB Nation tour, to the schools that rock with us, and they don't need to be convinced, like Georgia State, like San Jose State, like Temple. Yeah, we love you. So the other guys, guess what? This is the world of CFB.